Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started right at 2 o'clock. We did start the webinar a little early today to let everyone log on. Welcome, everyone. If you're just joining us, we will start right at 2 o'clock. We just opened it up to let everyone log on. Welcome, everyone. If you're just joining, we're going to get started right at 2 o'clock. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Deliverables-Based Information Technology Services, otherwise known as DBITS Pre-Solicitation Conference. Before we get started, we're going to go over a few webinar notes. We will be holding all questions. We will let you know whenever we open up the Q&A. And we would like to remind everyone that they can switch between their computer audio and their phone call. If everyone can please raise their hand to confirm that they can hear me. Perfect. Thank you so much. And the handout will be available in the addendum. Next, we have the speakers. We have Vanya, which is the procurement lead. We have Stephanie Harrison, which is director of co-op. We have Marie Cohan, which is the statewide digital accessibility officer. Teresa Williamson, director of the hub. Julia Klingman, which is a procurement lead, and then me, Brianna Ballinger. For the agenda today, we are going to go over the RFO overview. We're going to go over the forms. We're going to go over the scope, the evaluation criteria, the terms of the contract, the addendum, the schedule. We're going to go over hub. We're going to go over the accessibility, general information, bid stamp, mandatory submissions. We're going to have a little break and some time for questions, and then we're going to close out. I will now turn it over to Vanya.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome and thank you for being here with us. And I can see we're still having people signing in to the conference. So if you are going to be a little late, you might miss a few things, but this will be recorded and it will be available to everyone through an addendum that will be posted shortly after this conference. So you will get a copy of the slides. You will get a link to our YouTube channel to listen to this conference as needed. Before we get started, though, I must ask all the vendors that are on this conference to understand that due to the timeline of this RFO and what we are trying to accomplish, if questions that have been answered through all our October trainings, through our March 4th conference, through Addendum 1 and 2, if such questions are asked again, we are not going to answer them because there is no more time to post addendums. We are going to post one more addendum, and then we will evaluate the situation and what's going on before, legislative changes, whatever. We might post one more, but right now my goal is to post one more addendum with the final Q&A and any changes that happens between now and when I post the addendum. So it's very important that everyone in this call that are planning to respond to this RFO totally catch up with all the available information out there. And if you need links or even information, please email me at any time. I'll be happy to answer, okay? Well, let's get started. So the objective of this RFO is that we're trying to resolicit for our DBITS services. This RFO is not for staffing, so it is not for ITSEC type of services. It's very important that we understand that. It is for deliverable-based services. We are resoliciting RFO 553, and we are going to make multiple awards from this RFO. Next slide. So over here, what we have is our cooperative program historical sales. So throughout this presentation, I am going to be talking about things that have been confusing to vendors based on the questions that I received since between March 10th, where addendum 2 stopped, and March 27, which was the cutoff date for this RFO questions. So as we go through this information, I might just clarify some of these confusions because some of these questions will not be answered formally, but I will explain through here. So one of the misunderstanding is that this is the budget for this RFO. This is not the budget for this RFO. This is for historical sales for the DIR cooperative program, which means in the past 4 years since the RFO was awarded, this is how much sales the entire cooperative program, which covers over 800 contracts, not just DBITS. This is just to show vendors how important this program is and how big it is, and that indeed vendors do make good business sales under the cooperative program of DIR. So this is not a budget. It is simply the total sales for our cooperative program. Next slide. And this is a detailed sales of the entire DIR cooperative program DBITS contracts. So where the first slide was about our entire cooperative program with all 800 contracts, these are the sales for the 98 current active awarded contracts for the DBITS program, okay? Again, this is not a budget. And as you see, the FY 2025 is partial information because it's only data from this fiscal year, probably 2 months or 3 months of data, because we haven't pulled all the remaining data. And the fiscal year doesn't end until August 31st. So it's very important to understand this is just the volume of possible business that vendors can do through this program. It is not a budget. Thank you. Next slide. So now we're going to talk about the RFO forms. And I want to emphasize the forms that have changed. Okay. So through addendum 1, exhibit A was revised. It is very important that you understand that you must respond to this RFO with the exhibit 8 per addendum 1. Why is that so important? Because that exhibit A now has information regarding the executive order 48 that you must answer, that you must respond to. So if we receive responses with exhibit A that are not addendum 1, we are not going to accept those exhibit A and you will be disqualified. So it is very important that you make sure that your response document set includes exhibit A, your respondent information, as per addendum 1, okay? Then you have Exhibit A1 exceptions. That form has not changed. Exhibit B has not changed. Exhibit C has not changed. Exhibit D, as I have mentioned, it is a sample of a subcontract. You must download the CPA current hub form. And as many of you have asked me through the past few questions, yes, in all the documentation that I tell you what to upload to to the VIS Bitstamp portal as your response documents, I do not mention Exhibit D. I mentioned a hub subcontracting plan. Exhibit D is a sample. The reason I don't say Exhibit D is because I don't want you submitting the sample form. I want you to download the hub subcontracting plan, okay? Exhibit E, a lot of questions about this reference form. So it was updated in addendum 1. And apparently the first page still says Exhibit F, which please don't get confused. That first page is just a formality. The reference form itself is correct. So when you send it to your customers, they are not gonna even see that first page. That is just to separate the forms within the RFO, okay? You're welcome to remove it and just simply send the exhibit reference to your customers. And I'm gonna answer this very many times, but I will answer again. Exhibit E reference form is to be submitted to DIR by your customers via the RFO email box, email address provided through the form, okay? Exhibit F is your release of liability. A lot of questions on this one. Vendors will submit this as part of your response document set. This is so that you will provide DIR the ability to call any of your reference or your cancel contracts for more information while we evaluate your response, okay? Exhibit D is your PDAA. This is required of all vendors. So I will respond to this question, which has been asked 100+ times. Every single vendor will provide a PDAA no matter what you are responding to. If you are responding to one of the categories or all 3 or 4, you will provide us with a PDAA. This is a disqualification form if it's not provided. And a 0, and you must make sure that that does not have a 0 score on it. It has to be completed. We have been providing everyone that asked with a courtesy review of this form, so as to make sure you have everything you need, okay? Exhibit H is your VATSA form. We also been providing courtesy reviews of this form. But most important, this form Word document was provided to you. In past meetings, we have told you to download it from the website, but some of you require that we send it to you. So Addendum 2 has this form in a Word document so that you may fill it out and also provide it. The VATSA form is required only for vendors proposing development, category 1. Okay, so if you're not responding to category 1, you do not need to provide us with a VATSA. Okay, next slide. Okay, we're missing a slide. Need to go back one. Nope, something is wrong. Okay, everybody, we're gonna just wait for 1 minute while I find out what's wrong with this PowerPoint, and then I'll get right back online, okay? Just give me 1 minute and we'll be right back. Okay, let's go ahead to the next slide. So as I explained before to everyone, the Exhibit A per Addendum 1 is covering Executive Order 48, which is a very important information. Exhibit E and F have minor administrative corrections and through Addendum 1. Next slide. So here is where things are very different. Attachment 1 is a simple contract that we provided for you to review what the contract is going to have at negotiations. It is not a document for you to provide us as part of your document response set, but it's a document you need to review. And it's provided to you through Addendum 2, and it's very different from the simple contract that we had posted previously. And that is because Attachment 2, the DIR standard terms and conditions have completely changed from the one you saw prior to now. So these two documents, as we spoke to you all before, was going to change due to legislative. And we were all expecting it to change. Now, the changes, I need you guys to review carefully. Make sure that you understand what the changes are. And before anyone asks us, I cannot provide you a crossover document that show you what changed, because we really need you guys to read and review these documents. Okay, that's how important these are. And if you have any question concerning these two documents, you feel free to email me, but I cannot provide you legal advice on terms and conditions language. Our legal counsel will not provide clarifications or tell you what it means or any of that. They want you to read, and if you have legal counsel requirements, you need to ask your legal department to provide you with that kind of information, okay? The Attachment G service agreement and the scope of work has not changed. Again, all 4 of these documents are samples for you to review and use as part of understanding the procurement process, understanding the cooperative program process, so that DBITS is not like just any other solicitation. So we're providing you tools to understand the DBITS program. Service agreements is something that you are going to see required when a customer submits a scope of work for quotes. Scope of work is a document you're going to see constantly as customers solicit work under these contracts. So it's not something for you to fill out. It's not something for you to submit as part of your response document. It is simple documents for you to understand the cooperative program and the DBITS program solicitation. Next slide. So let's recap what have changed in our forms. So simple contract template has changed. Move sections to standard terms and conditions. Some remove sections that did not apply to DBITS solicitation. DIR's terms and conditions attachment 2 per addendum 2 has completely changed. And I told you, we are not going to provide you guys with a comparison chart. Our legal department strongly recommends that you read it. And there's a lot of changes. So you need to make sure that you read it carefully, okay? I want to make sure that you understand. If you ask me, if you submit questions regarding terms and conditions and what it means and how that applies to you, I am not going to be able to answer those questions. Our legal department wants you to consult your counsel, your legal counsel, for those interpretations, okay? Next slide. So let's talk about the scope. Go ahead. Next slide. So The main scope intention has not changed. We're still going to continue to request the same 4 categories. These categories requirements have not changed. They're still the same. What have changed is the requirement for qualifications of what companies can actually qualify to propose the DBITS program. Next slide. So emerging technology, everyone has asked the question, how does this apply to all the categories? Well, it applies when it does. So a customer is going to provide you a scope of work. That scope of work is going to require that you provide them with the recent technologies. And that's when emerging technologies will come into place. So the customer will make some decisions about it, what they can accept from your proposals and what they cannot. That is to their requirements. It's up to them. DIR is providing the cooperative program DBITS contracts the ability to accept emerging technology throughout the years to come, because we know technology change. And the customers are going to let you know when that applies to their scope of work, and they'll let you know when it applies to what categories they are going to request services for. Okay, next slide. So as I told you before, the categories have not changed. We still have the 4 categories. They're very defined and their scopes is very clear on our solicitation. Next slide. So let's talk about changes that happened. So the first change that happened is that we're no longer requiring a VADSR sample from previous projects. If you are proposing development, you're going to fill out a VADSR as completely now brand new. And some of you have done this because you read addendum 1, and we have done some review of some of the VADSR and submitted some information to you for you to change or to you to update, or if they were good, we have told you that the courtesy reviews have been going on. And I believe we will do reviews up to 10 days before the opening of this RFO, okay? So we have changed the accessibility requirements. It was replaced with not a sample of a previous project, but a complete VADSR, okay? Also, we changed the requirement for cloud assessment services. So now that is part of the scope. We removed it from out of scope. Next slide. So this is big. This is the section that I spoke to you guys on the previous conference as it was coming. We were going to require a specific company establishment timeline for this RFO. So if you are proposing development, category 2.2.1, you will have to have a business that has been established for 5 years. That is year to year. So if your firm was established before 2020, you qualify. Between 2000, if you were established in 2020, you'll qualify. If you establish any time after 2020, you do not. That does not qualify for the 5 years for this specific category, okay? So very clear, DIR is going to look at your formation document, whichever document that is. Different formations have different documents. We provided you 3 samples of types of documents you can provide, but depending on your company formation and how you establish your company, you will provide me a document that says we were created on this date and we file our company papers on this date. The year is what I'm looking at, okay? 5 years from that date. That's the important part. Same thing with the next 3 categories that requires a 3-year of established business. We're looking at the year. You will provide me a document that shows when you're established. It is not by the month or the date. Strictly, I'm looking at the year that you were established. and if that meets disqualification, okay? Because of how important this RFO is and how critical our customers wants to make sure that their vendors are vetted prior to us issuing a contract, these two requirements are not going to change, and there is no room for ifs or what ifs. This is a pre-qualification. It is a pass or fail. You either been established for the amount of years that we're requiring, or you have not. This has nothing to do with your experience that you're going to provide us on Exhibit B, which is going to be evaluated later on. This is going to be done as a pass or fail right off the bat. It is the first thing we're going to verify before you move to the next step. Okay, next slide. Okay, so we provided you samples, examples of documentation that you can prove, but we do understand there's tons and tons of different documents that creates different types of company partnerships, sole proprietary, LLC, all of those things, whatever that is, or whatever type of company you formed and you have established, that is the document I need, okay? So I also revised 3.84, the response file table, to include the requirement for your company formation documentation and to remove the sample requirements on both the VADSR and Appendix C attachments, okay? So that was very clear on Addendum 1. Next slide. So evaluation criteria changes. Here we go. So the first thing that changed, in the addition to the current pass or fail evaluations, so your Exhibit A is a pass or fail. Is it signed? Is it complete? Is it correct? Your hub plan is a pass or fail. Is it filled out? Does it have the signature? Is it the correct form? And does it follow the procedures of the hub plan requirements? Your PDAA is a pass or fail. You must submit it in a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, as it was provided to you, and it cannot have a score of 0, okay? Your financial review to the Duns and Bradstreet, that's a pass or fail. We explained very clearly on the Addendum 1 and Addendum 2 what that entails, what is the score, what the SER reporting that we're using. So I do not need you to provide me with your financial statements or any proprietary information about your company financials. We are going to use the Duns and Bradstreet report, okay? But it is a pass or fail. So if you score a 9, you will not move forward, okay? So please review Addendum 1, Addendum 2 Q&A. There's tons of questions regarding this, and all of this has been very clear in that addendum. The vendor performance score is also a pass or fail. If you have a score that is not favorable, we cannot enter into a contract with you. That is the law, okay? And for vendors that are new that don't have a performance score, no worries. We're not going to worry about that because you don't have one, so we'll move on, okay? And your company establishment number of years requirement is also a pass or fail. So the first thing I'm going to do when I open this RFO is review every one of your response for these documents. And you either move to evaluation or you don't. That's how this will go, okay? Want to make sure we're very clear on this because based on the 538 questions that I received between March 10th and March 27, that is the reason I'm being very clear about all of these issues, okay? Section 4.2, the evaluation criteria, not very much past here. It just includes the pass or fail criteria for your establishment of years, okay? Next slide. So we have talked about your pass or fail. Talk about your financial review. This is just something to remind you, and when you see this PowerPoint, It will help you remember what these things are. Next slide. So the second part of this is the weighted valuation criteria. That has not changed. And a lot of you have asked me, how do we evaluate the 6%? What are our rubric formula? We are not going to provide you all that. Not at this point, not now. DIR legally does not have to provide vendors that. Legally, we give you the weight of each section. How we evaluate in detail is something that we can provide you after the RFO closes. After the RFO is completely awarded, we can share that information. But as of right now, we're not going to provide you that information so that you know we are not required to. Okay, next slide. So another question is about providing extra information, about providing additional pages, or you guys are very concerned about the page limited for every one of these forms incomplete. The instructions on these forms are very clear. We have 3 pages per category in some questions, and 3 pages for one question has nothing to do with categories. So it's important that you read the question because each question has the exact information you need about the number of pages. And we created the form to give you some ideas as to how these forms are to be fulfilled, okay? If you choose to create these forms somewhere else with a different format, with a different font, as long as it's readable, but DIR is not responsible if you miss a question. DIR is not responsible if you don't provide the complete information. So you can use our forms, remove the information that is not necessary or part of the question. Keep the question, answer each question, and make sure you don't miss any of it. Okay? Now, formatting, font, just remember, DIR will not be responsible for any form that is not legible. So it's up to you. But these response forms must be submitted and all the question must be answered. Okay? No links, no marketing materials, just answer the questions. And if you have any, like if you're brand new to solicitation, brand new to cooperative contracts, watch the October 11 training, how to respond to an RFO. And remember that training is general about cooperative contracts in general, not directly to DBITS, but it does fit what needs to be done for every one of these forms in detail. Take the time, go into our YouTube channel. Take the time to listen to these trainings and to the conference because it will be very valuable to you, okay? So the performance tracking system the CPA uses is something that we're going to use as part of your history and experience, okay? If you don't have any, because you haven't been reported into that system, you haven't done any sales with the state of Texas, then this doesn't apply to you. Do not worry about it, okay? Next. So the contract document changed a little, not much, but the term of the contracts hasn't changed, okay? So we're still gonna have 2, 1, 2, and 1. So 5-year total, okay? Now remember, renewing these contracts is at DIR discretion. There's all kinds of things that goes into determining if a contract renewal is viable, is in the best interest of the state of Texas. And those things I cannot tell you right now because it's part of the contract management piece. Just if you read your terms and conditions under contract management, it will tell you what those conditions are. So some of the questions I've been asked is, what if I don't have any sales? Well, it all depends. So I cannot answer yes or no to those questions because it's at DIR discretion. And the contract manager that is working with you, okay? If the renewal is going to happen or not. It's not an automatic thing. It is at DIR discretion, okay? The option to extend is also at DIR discretion and is used only when we need it as part of timelines. We are not going to leave our customers stranded without a contract to continue their work that is in progress. So if I, for some reason, delayed the awarding of new contracts for the customers to use, we will extend the current contracts until such other contracts are completed, okay, and negotiated for the new terms. But again, option to extend is a DIR discretion. Next slide. So over here, it's just the way that the new contract terms is written. Instead of having the two sections, everything is in one, but it's the same language. It is the same context, so nothing to worry about. Okay, next slide. So addendum 2, let's talk about what that covered as far as changes are. Next. Next slide. Okay, so we talked about this, but I'm gonna be talking about the same thing over and over, guys, is because we need to hear them. Because it is proven fact that the more I say something, the more it will stick in your minds, right? So we're gonna do our best to make sure you get everything you need. So we replaced the contract, we replaced the terms and conditions. Lots of change, must be reviewed. We gave everybody the exhibit H, the VADSR, in a Word format. And we answer all questions that came in between March 4th, the conference, emails that I received, and all the questions that were submitted to the BidStamp portal up to March 10th, okay? That was a total of 204 questions answered. And by the way, the 538 questions that I'm working on to respond on addendum 3 right now have probably most of them been answered under addendum 2. So if you need an answer to something that you ask, 9 out of 10, I've already answered it. Just review addendum 2 for it. Addendum 2 is organized by topic to make things easier for you to search since there's so many pages. So if you want something to do with Hub, look at the Hub section. If you're talking about certifications, look at that section. It's divided into topics that makes it easier for you to find the answers to your questions, okay? Now, I'm gonna say this because it's very important. So DIR will not provide legal advice or interpretation of standard contract terms and conditions. If you have questions regarding the contract terms and conditions, you will confer with your legal counsel. So I have exactly 110 questions right now to do with T's and C's, terms and conditions. I will not be answering those questions so that you know, okay? Next slide. Addendum 2, please go back to the other slide, thank you. So I wanna make sure that I help you guys ahead of time because addendum 3 is not gonna be posted for a couple, I'm gonna try to get it to you as fast as I can like I did the last 2. But there's a process, and due to the number of questions, it's going to take some time. But here are the top 5 questions that are been top 5 that have been repeated over and over and over. So I'm going to help you guys. Copy of the slides and the conference recordings will be provided to you. I might send out an email faster than the addendum 3 for the slides and conference recording to provide you with fast response on that because I know you're going to need it. That way you don't have to wait for addendum 3, but I'm working on that. So references, guys, I need a total of 3, not total per category, not total for service that you provide, types of service. Just 3, okay? Just 3, that's all I need. Thank you. The Hub certified vendors doing outdoor work is still required to complete a Hub form. If you're a Hub vendor, you still need to do a Hub form according to the process and the requirement. Whatever's going on with the legislative right now, will not affect this RFO. Whatever they decide about hub, about anything, is not going to take effect until September 1st of next year or this year, whenever they say. And it is not going to be for this RFO. We open April 29th. So hubs are required. That's why we're going to talk about hubs later. We're going to talk about hub program. We're going to show you the slides. We're going to talk to you about how to do it, again, to help you make sure you succeed, okay? Using the DIR forms versus creating your own. Lots of questions about that. Fonts, can I put graphics on it? Can I do this? You will respond to the DIR request as the instructions tell you to. Whether you do your own forms or you do your own font, it's up to you. Just remember, DIR is not responsible if you miss a question. DIR is not responsible if your forms are not legible to my evaluators, okay? So keep all of that in mind when you do these things. But you can, but it's on you, okay? Is there page limits for completing Exhibit B and C? Oh, yes, there is page limits. And DIR is going only to evaluate the page limit we told you. So if a question says 3 pages, we're only going to evaluate 3 pages. So you can give me 100, I'm only going to evaluate 3, okay? So keep that in mind. Signature type requires also another question. Look at that, I said top 5 and I gave you 6. That's a bonus. So type of require, official signatures, DocuSign, Adobe signature, or real ink signature, print, sign, scan, send it in. But do sign it. Don't copy and paste signatures, okay? Because it won't be accepted. So you must make sure you have a legal, official signature from an official approved e-sign app or e-sign software, okay? And that question was answered under addendum 2 at least 4 times. So it's there in black and white for you guys. Next slide. So the upcoming addendum 3, what we're going to cover. So when I did this slide, I had 480 questions. By the time I got done review, I have 538. And why was that, Vanya? Oh, guys, some of you actually put 32 questions in one entry. So the numbers add up because I had to split them to answer it, right? All right. But I am going to try to answer your questions. They're going to be done in categories, and there will be, okay? These do not include anything you called and asked me, anything you send on email. These questions are strictly the ones that officially came through the VIS portal. And I will answer every one of them, but here's what else I'm going to do. I'm going to split the answers in categories so that you know how to read addendum 3. It's going to say the following questions are regarding specifications and they are not applicable to the RFO response. So I'm not answering. So I'm not going to answer what type of cloud I use, what type of software I want you to develop under. Not answering any of that. That is not what this is about, okay? But I will answer all the questions that are related to what you need to know to respond to this RFO, okay? But if questions were asked and answered under addendum 1 and 2, I'm also not going to answer those. I'm going to line them up and I'm going to give you one answer. See addendum 2, see addendum 1, okay? This is to expedite providing you addendum 3 with meaningful questions that you need to know before responding to the RFO. And I'll make sure I get to you as fast as I can. To do that, I need to make sure I only answer the ones that are valid, okay? Next slide. All right, RFO schedule, next slide. As of today, the RFO schedule has not changed. Due to the timeline of when we need to get these contracts awarded, as of today, I do not have authority to change the date. Could it happen between now and when addendum 3 Yes. As of right now, I don't know if you knew this, but our Q&A tab on the Zoom had not been open, but it's open now if you have questions over everything else I just told you, okay? And you can enter questions between now and the end of the, when we're gonna answer them. But as of right now, let's say something happens between now and when addendum 3 is posted, this deadline might change. But I'm not gonna make any promises to you guys at this point because I really do not know. As of today, my timeline's still the same, and I'm hoping this thing opens on the 29th, okay? Next slide. And now I'm gonna give my voice a rest and Hub's gonna take over.
Thank you, Vanya. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Teresa Williamson. I'm the director of the Hub program here at DIR. As you heard Vanya say earlier, there have been no changes to the Hub requirements. So let's talk about the importance of completing your Hub subcontracting plan. Next slide, please. Please visit the link that's provided for the most currently approved HSP through the Comptroller's Office. You'll be required to download this form and complete it. Like Vanya said, it's always safest to go ahead and put a wet signature because the signature is required on your Hub subcontracting plan, also known as your HSP. Please remember not to modify this form or to export it to a Word document. This is an editable copy that you'll be downloading. And again, it's owned and managed by the Comptroller's Office. Next slide. All respondents are required to submit a completed and signed Hub subcontracting plan. Failure to submit a completed and signed Hub subcontracting plan will cause your response to be rejected. As you heard Vanya say earlier, it is a pass or fail item. There are 3 ways to complete your Hub subcontracting plan. The first is to meet or exceed the Hub goal and complete method A. The second is to not meet the Hub goal and complete method B. And the third is to self-perform. Next slide. The Hub goal for this RFO is 26%. So if your proposed subcontracting meets or exceeds that 26% Hub goal, you'll complete method A. Be sure to identify all Hub and non-Hub vendors that you will be subcontracting with, include the anticipated dollar amounts and expected percentages. So when completing method A, you'll complete sections 1, 2, 4, and the method A attachment A. Next slide. If you are going to subcontract below the Hub goal, you'll complete method B. Be sure to solicit a minimum of 3 Hub certified companies and 2 minority trade organizations. With the method B good faith effort, you must allow them 7 working days to respond to you prior to the due date of this RFO. Include your outreach with to these entities with your HSP submission. So when you're completing your method B, you will complete sections 1, 2, 4, and the method B attachment B. Don't forget to include those approximate dollar amounts and percentages. Also allow yourself plenty of time when completing this method. Remember that the day that you send out that good faith effort correspondence, that's considered your day 0. And you are required to give those companies and those organizations 7 working days to respond back to you. I've seen many companies submit an incomplete method B good faith effort and fail the process because of it. So please, again, give yourself plenty of time. And also the Hub department will give you a courtesy review, just like Vanya had told you earlier. We will provide that for you when completing this method or any of the methods. It's always safest to submit that to us so we can walk you through the process. Next slide. The last is self-performing. So if you'll be self-performing, you'll complete sections 1, 2, 3, and 4. In your self-performing justification, you'll identify how your company will fulfill a contract with its own current staff, equipment, and resources. Please don't say that you'll subcontract in the future or if you need to. Tell us how you'll self-perform should you be awarded. Next slide. We did add some support tools here. So I bet you guys didn't know that we had a YouTube channel, but DIR does have a YouTube channel, and there's some resources out there for you when completing your hub subcontracting plan. The 3 links here are available to walk you through the process of completing an HSP using the methods that we've just talked about. So definitely use those resources. Next slide. And to continue on those support tools, here's a list of some of the most common errors that we see on the HSP. But at the end of the day, the biggest error is not using your resources to assist you in completing and passing your HSP. Like I said, reach out to the DIR Hub office for that courtesy review. Next slide. My contact information is listed here. We will again provide you with that courtesy review of your HSP prior to the due date of this RFO as time permits. Like Vanya had said earlier, again, 10 working days, give us that time, because if you have completed the incorrect method and you need to change over to the method B, you've got to allow those vendors and trade organizations that 7 days, so give yourself plenty of time. So please do take advantage of that courtesy review, and remember that when responding to the hub office, to make sure that you're including the procurement lead on all of your correspondence. Next slide. I'll turn it over to Marie. Thank you. All right, I'll turn it back over to you, Vanya.
I'm sorry. For some reason, my mic didn't unmute correctly. So everyone, Marie is not able to be with us this afternoon. Something happened, so she had to leave. I will go over this, but what I like to mention to you is that the digital accessibility presentation from the March 4th is exactly the same. There has been no change to this section. Marie wanted to just refresh your memory. And what I'm going to tell you is simply your requirements that you must know. So I am not an accessibility expert. So if there's a lot of questions about accessibility, I will let Marie answer them through addendum 3 if they have not yet been answered. So let's go through this a little quick so that we can go through the questions you are asking. Okay, next slide. So basically, everybody has to provide an accessibility document for this RFO. Which ones? PDAA and VADSR if you're proposing category 1. Okay, you need to follow the Texas Government Code Chapter 2054. Make sure you're using the right tech rules and that you understand what the requirements are for each form. Okay. Also, don't forget, Marie does provide an accessibility courtesy review of your VADSR and your PDAA 10 days before RFO opening. Okay, next slide. All right, so these are the 2 documents you are going to require for this RFO. A lot of people have asked me about the ACR and why that is in the RFO section. If you noticed in the RFO section, the ACR or VPATs, as most people know, are darkened and it's in the block. And that's because it's not a requirement for this RFO, but it's something Marie wants you to be aware. If you develop software or if you are working with a customer, that is using any kind of software to test your products, or if you're testing service, whatever it is that requires accessibility, you will have to have those documents, or the customer is going to ask you for one. So it's just want you to be aware of what a VPAT is and what's needed in case a customer requires. It doesn't mean you're going to provide VPATs to a customer or that you're going to sell software. Okay, next slide. So over here, Marie is explaining to you exactly what the PDAA is, what is required, and what she's looking for, okay? The most important thing about a PDAA that you need to know is that if you don't provide one, you will not move to evaluations, okay? Next slide. Over here, she's helping you by providing you a matrix of the components and what needs to be done on each section. As your company progresses into, as you grow and you define your accessibility requirements more, that's what this chart is telling you, is how to improve as you optimize and get to the top of your assessment where you want to be regarding to accessibility. Next slide. All right. So this is about the VADSER. The only people that are going to provide a VADSER is if you are providing development. If you are responding to category 2.1221, I believe it is, development, then you will do a VADSER. You will complete the VADSER to show that your company development practices addresses accessibility. And you can have this document as a courtesy review to make sure you're not missing anything. Okay, and this is a pass or fail. Next. So these are some of the most common questions Marie gets and that the vendors will answer. And she's providing you, this PowerPoint will be available to you so you can go through these in detail. Okay, next slide. So Marie provides training for vendors for accessibility, all types of different types of training. Take advantage of it. And she's going to give you some links here on the next slide. See, here's some of the links to assist you with training for accessibility as you prepare to do your documents, okay? Next slide. And here are more links for you to use to provide you more documentation, templates, samples for you to do your forms. Next slide. All right. So here's Marie's information. As you contact Marie for courtesy review or questions about accessibility or training, whatever, you must CC me along with your email to Marie. Because if you don't, she's going to tell you to CC me. Okay? Go ahead, next. All right. So I understand accessibility was a quick. I'm not an accessibility expert, but be sure that everything you need to know about accessibility is been provided to you on the March 4th recording of the Pre-Solicitation Conference original. This Pre-Solicitation Conference was a refresher and mainly to discuss the changes. Okay, so I want to make sure. I see that somebody has their hands raised. I'm not quite sure how that fills into here, but we'll get to you as soon as we get to the break, okay? So remember, the timeline for questions have closed. All the questions that are going to be asked during this webinar that are relevant and are not repetitive and has not been answered through addendum 1 or 2 will be part of addendum 3, okay? All the questions that we are answering today is unofficial until posted to the SPD under addendum 3. Vendors are responsible to check ESBD for updates. DIR does send out notices. If you go into the VIS bid stamp portal and you sign up to receive notice of this RFO under the actual RFO, not in general, because you have to be in the RFO itself to request to sign up. You will get notice every time I post an addendum, okay? I just want to make sure you know after today, all questions are closed, and there will be, at this point, I'm not foreseeing a new question period opening, okay? Next slide. So we talk about this, but this is a refresher. What can disqualify a vendor? Not providing a DUNS number, not signing Exhibit A, not providing a hub plan that is signed, not providing a PDA-A, not submitting it by the due date. By the way, if you go into Bitstamp and you upload all your documents, but you don't push the submit button, there is nothing we can do about that. So please, please make sure you push that submit button. And you must provide your company establishment documentation, okay? Those are things that are very important. And all the responses to this RFO must be through the Bitstamp VIS. And if you do not have a login yet, I suggest you get one pretty quick, okay? Next slide. So the four-way match that I've been getting lots of questions. It is important that your Exhibit A as your response document, as your form that is telling us you want to do business with DIR. This is a very important form. The data in this form must be the data of your company. It has to be the legal company name, the corporate address, and the people you're going to list as contacts under this form must be people that we can contact. And if the people on this form changes between now and negotiations, you must let us know, okay? So, but the key here is there's got to be a three-way match in order for you to pass financial, for you to pass the review process. So your Exhibit A must meet your Secretary of State registration. It must meet your Duns and Brad record, okay? If it meets Salesforce, that's a plus. If it doesn't, we can work on that. It's not something to worry about, okay? But it'd be great if it all matched, trust me. Next slide. So what information must match? Your legal name, very critical, including the DBA if that is a legal registered DBA, and if you are going to use that DBA, okay? Company corporate address, very important. Company FIN number must be legal, must be matched. Company DUNS number. All of these things are critical to validate your company legality to do business in the state of Texas. Okay, so DIR cannot award a contract to a company that is not legal. Our legal department is not going to pass that review. It's not going to let it go through. So you have lots of time between now and negotiation and contract award to make sure these things are there and that they're good. Okay, next slide. So one of the things I need to make sure everybody in this call understands is that DIR provides you an RFO. The RFO documents must be read. There are things that you need to do in order to respond to this RFO. We provide you tables of, here are some of the response documents you need to provide. Here are the naming convention to upload to DIR. But DIR is not responsible that these forms are complete. So if you go by what we provide you as checklist and we miss something, that's on you. It is important that you understand that, okay? And it is important that you understand that these documents are part of your response document set. So read the RFO once, read it twice, make sure we didn't miss anything. And if we did, let us know, sorry. But these tables that we provide you in Exhibit A, in the RFO, and Addendum 1 are courtesy to help you not miss anything. But they're not all inclusive, okay? So that is very important to understand that you must read the RFO. You must make sure you follow every single one of those requirements, okay? Now, one of the things I've been asked is about PDF format and searchable documents. If you are doing a PDF, there is a lot of ways to make that PDF searchable. If you are scanning a document after a signature, you can make it searchable. But if it is not, we're not going to disqualify you. We're just asking you that if you can, please make sure it is. But it's not a requirement that is going to disqualify you. So don't make that requirement keep you from answering and uploading a document. Okay, next slide. So for those people that just join us, and I know there's a lot of you in this call because I got tons of emails of people that say, I just saw this and I need to get started. So these two trainings right here are so important to help you catch up. Because like I told a lot of you on the emails, we started this back in October. So you guys got some catch up to do if you just join us. And since today is not a formal pre-proposal conference, that was March 4th. Today is a refresher and we're reviewing changes. Okay, so catch up with everything that's out there would really help. Next slide. So very important, don't be talking to nobody but me. And I am available. There's very few vendors that can say they can't get a hold of me. So that's not an excuse to talk to anybody else. So people that have current jobs going on and are in contact with our customers are concerned. You can talk to them about your job, about what you're doing for them. You cannot talk to them about this RFO. Okay? Just making sure that is clear because this is the law. No vendor can get any advantage over other vendor on a competitive process. Okay, next slide. So this is the information. I am the main procurement lead for this RFO. Julia is my backup when I'm not around. And so you can talk to either one of us, but whatever you do with Julia, you do with me. Always CC both of us, keep us both in the loop, okay? And Stephanie is the person that's going to help you with any bid stamp issues, uploading documents if anything goes wrong. One of the things that I noticed is that the new ESBD, when you download documents, okay, it has this whole sequence of numbers, which makes the document name very long. So one of the problems I'm having is vendors saying, how can I do the naming convention and keep all this document numbers? You don't. You save as and use the document convention. You do not keep all of these numbers that the ESBD system is putting in their documents when you download. You just save as. It's a Word document and you rename it based on the convention. That way you don't exceed the characters number on the amount of characters your name can have in order to upload to BidStamp, okay? And October 11th, session 2 talks about all of this for you guys in detail. The Hub subcontracting plan, Teresa is the person you're going to contact. And she does have a DIR Hub page, which we like for you to use because there's other people monitoring that box and we're making sure you are taken care of. Next slide. The portal. So I don't have time today, guys, to go over everything we need to do about the VIS portal, but the YouTube channel, October 11 training session 2 goes over in detail. And if after watching this video, you still need help, then reach out to me, okay? Next slide. Also, you can watch the vendor conference of March 4th in YouTube, which goes through every single slide for the VIS portal as well. Today, I want to get to the meat of what we need to do in order to respond to the RFO. So this is basically submitting through the bid stamp process. It gives you the link, how to get your credentials if you don't have one. When setting up your bid stamp, make sure you use your legal company name. Those are just little things that you need to know. Okay, next slide. So if you have any disability and you cannot submit your response through Bitstamp, you need to contact me at least 5 days before the due date so that we can make arrangements to assist you. Next slide. So mandatory submissions. Again, seems like I'm harping on this, but trust me, it's important. Next slide. So what we need Exhibit A for Addendum 1. We need your cancel contracts. And Exhibit A has these cancel contract forms and all the other forms that goes with Exhibit A within one document. If you answer everything, keep it under one document, upload all as Exhibit A. So you don't need to add any additional documents. Don't separate the forms, just answer everything within that Word document. Print, sign, upload it together, okay? And Exhibit A1, this is where you will do all your exceptions to the terms and conditions, and be very careful not to over ask for exceptions. Remember what I said March 4th. If there is a law attached to a term, a legal citing, DIR can't do anything about that. For you to ask exception to a legal required thing, it makes it very difficult to negotiate something with a legal requirement or the law, or it has a code attached to it. Just pay attention to the terms and conditions and what it relates to, okay? So Exhibit B, response history and experience. Exhibit C, contract marketing and support plan. These are the two important documents that you will be evaluated under. And I know a lot of people have asked me question, what do you mean by this on this question? How do you want this question answered? I cannot answer how to answer questions, guys. Okay, I cannot do that. That would be giving, that would be answering you questions that are being evaluated. It doesn't make any sense. You need to understand the questions and answer them based on your experience. Okay. I will answer some question clarifications, but I am not going to provide you how to answer questions. Okay, that's very important to know. Then you're going to do your hub form. You're not going to use Exhibit B because that's a sample. You're going to download the form from the CPA website. Okay, you're going to provide your customers with the reference form and an email to submit that form. Have gotten some emails that some customers are getting their emails bounced when they submit your references, and they don't know why. If that happens, have them email me and provide me with a bounced email so I can send it to my IT people. Due to security, there are some IP addresses and some emails that are not going through because of DIR security, and I can work with that with our IT department if you have your customer submit me the bounced email that was rejected, okay? And then Exhibit F, you're gonna send us the liability for all the reference and your cancel contracts as well, so that DIR can contact them just in case. You're gonna provide the PDA and a VADSR if you are proposing Category 1 development, okay? And then you're going to make sure your company established formation document is attached with your response. And you're going to provide the signed addendum. People keep saying, where's the form to provide the signed addendums? Well, because of so many questions, what I'm going to do is when I provide you with the last addendum of the RFO, I am going to provide you with a page that has every single addendum, and you're going to initial that you read it and signed it just once to make it simple. But if you provide me all the signatures of every single addendum 1 pages, that is okay too. I'm just trying to facilitate things for you. Next slide. So rejection of responses. Please understand that DIR has the sole discretionary and authority to reject responses that are not in according to the RFO specs or the RFO requirements that doesn't provide what we asked for and that you don't qualify for, okay? So we don't like to do it, but we can and we will if we need to. Just want to make sure you guys understand that, okay? Next. So now what I like to do is we're going to take a 10-minute break and you guys going to put in your question. And please, please, pretty please, don't ask me question that's already been answered. Okay, please. I appreciate that. And once we come back, we're going to look at your questions and we're going to group them and try to answer them. But remember, nothing is official until I post it on addendum 3. Okay. And today in this meeting is the last opportunity to ask questions. I like for Hub to see what's the deal with the hand that is lifted before we go into a break. Somebody is got their hands up.
Thomas, if you can please submit your question in the Q&A, we'll go ahead and answer your question.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Vanya, would you like to work on the questions, or should we go to the next?
Oh, sure. We have approximately 20 minutes to answer some of your questions. I have been reviewing them. And honestly, guys, some of these questions are repeated from the 538 I already have answering right now. So I would not be answering those questions twice. I will take them into the list and we'll answer them, but I will answer questions that seem to be new. So I will go through the questions and I will answer. I can see some of you are asking the same questions over and over because you're anxious to get an answer. And I can give you an answer, but it's not official until it's posted, but I can certainly help you with it. A lot of people are concerned about documentation for formation documents. As I answered this question many times, it depends on how your company was formed. But when you established a company, you have a document. That's the one you're going to upload. The question between qualification of the 5-year in business, if you went through merger or if you went through reformation or whatever different crazy ventures that is going on with your company, send it in documentation that shows the process and DIR will take it in consideration. I cannot give you a yes or no answer right now because I don't know the situation, but the 5 years must be established and we'll take any type of consideration that needs to be done. And it's take your chance, respond, submit it, and we'll see what we can do. But I cannot provide you a straight answer right now. I noticed there's about 5 or 6 questions about that. Also, I noticed several questions about the team question on Appendix C. As I told you before, I cannot tell you how to answer these questions. The question is very clear. DIR is asking you to provide us information concerning the skills of the team from your company, established company, that is going to manage the DIR contract once is awarded. We do not need resumes. We need to know how your company can support an awarded contract for the categories of service that you are proposing. Answering that question on Appendix C, you must answer it as asked. I cannot tell you how to answer or what I need from you on that question. That is the question. What are the skills of the team within your company that is going to manage the DIR contract? No resumes, no subcontracting, no, I'm going to contract people to do this. The question is clear. Okay, so that answers kind of half of what is here. The next question that I see here, hubs. Can I use hub from my ITSEC hub plan to respond to this plan? That's your decision. And the hub plan will review it and they'll make a decision if that is what is going. Now, if you submit, if you did something like you send out notices for your ITSEC contract to meet the 10 days or 7 days, and you're trying to use that from now, that might be expired. I cannot tell you that. So you can take your chance and then submit it for review, for courtesy review. And Teresa and her team will let you know if that's acceptable. Since I was asked that question so many times, I'm making sure you get the answer. If you want to know how many people responded to the previous RFO that we awarded 98 contracts, you want to submit an open records request for that. That is not something I can provide you on this open forum, okay? If you're not from Texas and you're submitting to the only thing you need to do is meet the requirements and be registered to do business in the state of Texas by the time we get to negotiations. That is what type of documentation to provide company establishment formation document. The document that you filed to establish your company as a legal company to do business. That is the document I need. We do not see it. I don't know what that means. That's a question, but I don't understand. We do not see it. Exhibit A, per addendum 1, Executive Order 48 is the last section of that new exhibit form. You do not use bid stamp to provide references to your customers. The references, you must email them. The bid stamp system works, but DIR does not guarantee that your reference will get the email from a system. So based on past experience, vendors should submit their reference forms to their customers via email to make sure that they receive it. Okay. Okay. Joint venture companies, protege. I can't answer that. That is a legal, the 5-year requirement. If you're a joint with a mentor protege and you got a new company, submit your information and DIR will make a decision when we get the data. Okay. Unfortunately, at this point, as I told you guys before, due to our timeline, DIR is not considering extending the RFO deadline at this time. Okay. If that happens, we'll let you guys know under addendum 3, but as of today, due to our timeline, that is not an option. The only courtesy review that you can submit to DIR is your PDAA, your VADSR, and your hub. We will not review your response documents. So it says, could you please confirm that we can send forms to review within 10 days of the opening date? No, we are not going to review your response documents. We are going to give you a courtesy review for the hub plan, the PDAA, and the VADSR. Yes, 10 calendar day business is how long the courtesy review. You got to do it 10 days before. So it opens on the 29th. That means that we are going to take in courtesy reviews request up to the 19th of April. Okay. One of the questions been asked is that if we're going to accept experience for projects that are current in progress that have not been completed. Yes, past 5 years in active projects qualify as part of your experience. Just represent them on your exhibit B accordingly. On the confidentiality redacted documentation, that is a legal question about a term of a legal matter. Please read the terms and conditions, T's and C's on that section, the RFO requirements on that section, and ask your legal counsel for how you should do that. DIR is not responsible for any information that is not properly submitted. Okay? I am not sure when you say for exhibits B and C, can our response include graphics? I'm not sure what kind of graphics you're going to use to answer questions. Based on my experience, you certainly can provide graphics within your page limits, and we will review them accordingly. So I have over 4 to 5 questions here about page limits on exhibit B and C. So you will have the question and your responses. That's it. Everything else in that form can be deleted if it's instructions or samples of answers can be deleted. The question, original question, and your response will count as part of your page limit. There's a lot of question about establishment, guys. I cannot answer some of these because these questions are specific. The requirements are clear. If you have doubt whether you meet the requirements or not, submit a response, provide the information, provide some kind of explanation of your document of establishment. Experience of 25 years does not qualify as establishment. The owner of a company doing business is not proof of establishment firm. So if you have a question about the establishment date of your company, submit a response, take a chance and give us the history and we'll make a decision, okay? At DIR discretion, we'll make the decision. Is it okay to talk to the customers about reference forms? Not if you're going to tell them what to answer, but I believe you send an email, you request a reference, and that should do it. DIR employees from subcontractors, not quite sure what that question is about, so you might want to rephrase it and submit, and I will submit it on an email. And since you provide it here, make sure you copy and paste this so I can answer it, but I don't understand the question. So if you are a company using subcontractor, do I need to list the names of any former or current DR employees from that subcontractor? In what form, for what part of the RFO response? I kind of need more information to answer that question. Addendum 3 is expected to be posted as soon as possible. As I said, we have a lot of questions, so I will do my best to get it out to you very quickly. And if I cannot make it on the timeline that gives you 2 weeks to use addendum 3 answers, then we'll do something. We'll extend for a week. I am not making any promise. I'll do my best to get this to you in the next 5 days. Again, marketing plan, part 2, service level agreements, how to answer the questions. I cannot tell you that. You must respond to the questions and provide a service level agreement sample from past projects that you negotiated with the customer. You can take the customer's name out. You can block anything that's confidential. Service level agreement is something that a vendor will enter into with a customer after providing services of some type. If the business or the categories that you're doing don't apply to this, then just say not applicable and we'll move on from that. Okay? But I cannot tell you how to answer these questions. I already answered about the active projects. Yes, you can use active projects. I already answered questions about page limits, but I will answer again on addendum 3. When filling out your hub subcontracting plan, I don't believe resumes are required. And when responding to Exhibit B experience, resumes are also not required. This is not a staffing contract. Yes, you must be a registered active business in Texas to receive an awarded contract. You can submit a proposal responding to this RFO, and you must be completely registered by the time negotiation comes around. Yes, any questions in the RFO forms that doesn't apply to your company, it is okay to say not applicable. Do not leave it blank. Cloud assessment service is now part of the scope. It fits in the categories that applies. I cannot tell you which categories. I'm not sure what kind of what company you have, but if you are any of the categories, all 4 categories, cloud assessment services could fit, depending on what you're providing, depending on the customer scope, what they're requesting. Okay. But I'm not going to award a contract for cloud hosting by itself. DIR has a cloud contract and our customers use that for hosting and cloud services. This is assessment services. So let's not confuse the two. All right, I think I answered as much questions as I could, guys. We're about to run out of time. So I kind of just like to go over a few more things, and every question entered is going to be answered today. It's going to be answered unless they have already been asked previously, and it's already being answered under addendum 3. As I can see from these questions that some of these were already entered into the VIS portal. So I will make sure that I'm not answering the same questions twice, okay? So let's go ahead and see what else we got here. So just making sure you all know, you will get a notice when the addenda is posted. I will try my very best to get this addendum out to you as soon as possible, okay? And if something happens and I am not able to make it with the time frame to give you the 2 weeks you need, DIR will figure out a way to give you an extension to the answer. I will let you know. The addendum will include an extension, but I am doing my best to keep the schedule on time. Okay. Next slide. Don't forget, the schedule is still the same. It has not changed. April 29, 2 p.m. Don't forget the submit button on the VIS portal. Next slide. You all have my information. And please email me. Just remember, no more questions through email. And if you do, I will answer them to you. They will not be official. Okay, next slide. All right, thank you guys for being here and for listening to us and to helping us and to be so wonderfully into helping DIR provide best customer services to our customer base. I really appreciate all of your attendance and appreciate everything that you as our partners do. And we're looking forward to doing business with you, okay? So until next time, thank you all And this is the end of our presentation.